Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, it's a real-life maze of identity, murder, and hidden fortunes. Imagine being a yacht captain, sailing the Caribbean, only to find yourself completely tangled up in a criminal underworld, accused of a crime you didn't commit. That's the complex scenario you'll unravel with us today. It's a mystery centered around this one man who seemed to die not once, but 3 times. We've got a stack of fascinating sources, police reports, personal notes, all sorts of things to help us piece together this incredible story.
Indeed. This deep dive is quite a study in putting information together.
Yeah.
Synthesizing it will be connecting events that seem totally unrelated at first, piecing together fragments of who this person was, and exploring the extraordinary lengths people go to protect secrets
Right.
and fortunes. What's really captivating here is how you get these multiple perspectives: the yacht captain, the detectives digging in, the cunning criminal himself, and they paint this picture where the truth just keeps shifting under your feet.
Right. So our mission is to navigate these, let's say, treacherous waters of the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
pull out the most important insights, the surprising facts, so you can walk away feeling hopefully well-informed and, I gotta say, probably pretty gripped by it all.
Okay, let's unpack this. So, our story kicks off on a seemingly quiet Saturday morning. It's in a boatyard. Stuart Rogers, he's our yacht captain, is up the main mast, hand sanding his schooner, the Topaz. Then 2 men show up, lightweight suits.
Yeah.
These are Detectives Willits and Ramirez, and they're looking for a man named Francis L. Keefer. This is the guy who helped Rogers sail the Topaz up from Panama. And, they have some pretty unsettling news for Rogers, don't they?
They really do. This whole interaction immediately puts Rogers on edge. I mean, he barely knew Keefer, described him as, drunk maybe 5'10", 160, 170 pounds, chipped front tooth, had this tattoo, a haute with a girl's name, like Darlene or Charlene, something like that. Rogers didn't particularly like him, only paid him $100 for the trip.
Just a hired hand, basically. Exactly. But the police, they aren't just looking for him. They found a body under Pier 7, and they think it's Keefer. Then comes the curt reveal. Keefer wasn't drowned. Somebody killed him.
Wow. So a missing person case just instantly flips into a murder investigation. How does that shift things for Rogers right away?
Oh, it's a complete game changer. And what's so striking is the immediate contrast. You have Roger's perception of Keefer, this broke, down on his luck deckhand, and then the police reality. They reveal Keefer had, somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 when he came ashore.
What?
Yeah, he was driving a rented Thunderbird, living it up at the fancy Warwick Hotel, and had another $2,800 tucked away in the hotel safe.
Okay, that's not the guy Rogers described at all.
Not even close. And this wealth, it directly contradicts Roger's story, right? It puts him in a very suspicious light. He was the last one known to see Keefer. Maybe he knew about this cash.
Yeah, it's a classic setup for suspicion, isn't it?
Mm.
The police are definitely looking hard at Rogers now. What details do they have about how Keefer actually died, his final hours?
Well, they know he was killed between 2 and 3 a.m. He'd been pistol whipped, died from a blow to the back of his head. He was seen earlier at a waterfront bar, the Domino, with a woman described as a brassy blonde. They were arguing. Then he left alone, stumbling out, pretty drunk.
And didn't they find something on Rogers' boat?
They did. Keefer's cheap shaving kit. The police think this suggests Keefer maybe went back to the Topaz trying to retrieve something just before he was killed.
Okay, so to understand how Rogers gets into this mess, we need to rewind a bit. Back to the Topaz's voyage itself. Rogers bought this boat, a 40-foot ketch, in Panama on May 27th, set sail for the States on June 1st, and he hired 2 guys as deckhands, Keefer, the one who ends up dead, and another man, a very quiet guy named Wendell Baxter.
Ah, yes, Baxter. He's an intriguing character right from the start. Rogers describes him. He's around 50, tall, like 6'1", but very slender, brown eyes, graying brown hair, quiet, soft-spoken, seemed well-educated. And significantly, he had soft hands, not the hands of a typical seaman.
Interesting detail.
Yeah. He didn't have any seaman's papers either, but he was surprisingly knowledgeable about sailing, even knew celestial navigation. His story was he was an office worker from San Francisco, just looking to save the plane fare back home after some job folded in Panama.
Okay, so an unlikely sailor. Then, 4 days out of Cristobal, June 5th, something happens to Baxter.
Yes, he collapses while he's trimming a jib sheet, dies about 20 minutes later, supposedly a heart attack. Rogers looks through his suitcase, finds no medicine, nothing.
Wow, what a situation. You're hundreds of miles from anywhere, basically alone on a boat with a dead body.
Exactly. Just imagine The immense responsibility, the helplessness Rogers must have felt. He explains the circumstances. They were incredibly difficult. Like 400 miles from the canal zone, 100 miles off Honduras, 6 days from the nearest U.S. port. And the cabin temperature, 90 degrees.
Not good.
Not good at all. And trying to bring a body into some unauthorized port without a proper bill of health, that would mean quarantine, big fines.
So what does he do?
So, on June 8th, Rogers buries Baxter at sea. He does it properly, meticulously. Sews him into sailcloth with a sounding lead for weight. And he keeps this really detailed log of Baxter's symptoms, everything that happened. A doctor later reviewed that log, actually, and diagnosed it as a probable coronary thrombosis. Rogers also turned over all of Baxter's personal effects. There was $170 in his wallet to the U.S. Marshal's office when he arrived.
That sounds very thorough, very by the book.
Incredibly meticulous reporting, and it's critical because, for a long time, that log is the only official record of Baxter's death. It paints Rogers as this highly responsible, detail-oriented guy. But as you'll see, that same meticulousness, it kind of comes back to haunt him later.
Right, because the plot thickens dramatically. The FBI gets involved. Special Agent Soames shows up and makes it crystal clear they are not interested in Keefer's murder. That's, quote, local police matter.
Yeah.
The FBI is interested in Wendell Baxter.
Yeah.
And just like that, the whole focus of the investigation just pivots.
This is where the story really twists for Rogers and for us listening. The FBI reveals that Baxter's claimed San Francisco address, 1426 Roland Avenue, totally fake. There is no Roland Avenue in San Francisco.
Whoa.
Yeah. Their immediate concern is finding Baxter's next of kin, which, of course, Rogers can't help with at all. He knows nothing about this guy, really.
And then there was that woman, Paula Stafford, remember? She called Rogers earlier, desperately trying to get in touch with him. Well, Rogers finally meets her, and she reveals him is Brian, as in Wendell Baxter. She calls him Brian. And she's worried because she hasn't heard from him. She's convinced he's still alive.
And it gets worse. Not only does she believe he's alive, she drops a bombshell. Baxter, or Brian as she knew him, sent her a letter from Cristobal before the voyage even started. In the letter, he asked Rogers to put him ashore somewhere in Central America or Mexico and to fake his death.
Oh, my God.
But wait, here's the real kicker. The letter also stated he had $23,000 with him.
$23,000.
$23,000. This just blows Rogers' whole story out of the water. His account of Baxter being broke, dying of natural causes, it all looks like a lie now. It's basically a direct accusation that Rogers was in on some major fraud. Or worse.
This changes absolutely everything for Rogers. I mean, he went from maybe being looked at for Keefer's murder to now being suspected of stealing from a dead man, faking a death, maybe even killing Baxter himself for the money. The police know Keefer somehow got $4,000. Now, there's this other $19,000 supposedly unaccounted for. Rogers is the only survivor. His story looks incredibly shaky. He's basically becoming a fugitive at this point.
He really is. His back's against the wall.
So desperate, trying to clear his name, Rogers reaches out. He calls his old college friend, Bill Redmond, who's a reporter for the Miami Herald. Rogers gives Bill the description of Baxter. And he mentions this detail. He saw a photo of Baxter once on a sport fisherman boat on Biscayne Bay. He could only remember the last 2 letters to the boat's name.
And Bill, the reporter, does some digging. And what he finds is, well, it's another stunning revelation. He discovers a man named Brian Hardy who fits Baxter's description perfectly. Lived in Miami. Hardy rented this elaborate house on an island, owned a high-end sport fisherman boat called the Princess Pat. There's your at.
That's his Pat.
And get this. Brian Hardy had apparently died just 2 months before all this, back in April, in a boat explosion off Fort Lauderdale. Nobody ever recovered.
Another fake death.
Another faked death. You see the pattern emerging, right? It's becoming really clear.
Definitely. Did Bill find anything else?
Yeah, one more clue. He found an autographed book, Music in the Wind, by Patricia Reagan. It was sent to Brian Hardy, suggesting some kind of connection.
This guy. I mean, a trail of aliases, supposed deaths. What does that tell you about his life? His past?
It just screams a history of running, doesn't it? The sheer number of faked deaths. It suggests he wasn't just trying to evade something minor. This was serious entanglement. Dying was his go-to escape strategy.
So Rogers follows that lead. The book. Tracks down Patricia Reagan in the Florida Keys. She's a photographer. Turns out she's the author. And what she tells Rogers about her own father is, well, it's just astounding.
She tells him her father, Clifford Reagan, disappeared way back in January 1956. Out in the Arizona desert, believed dead. Again, nobody found.
This is the first faked death.
Yeah, this is number 1. And the pattern becomes even clearer. Clifford Reagan, he was a well-educated bank employee from Massachusetts. Turns out he'd previously stolen $17,000 from a bank back there, but his grandfather hushed it up, covered it. He moved to Phoenix, got another job in bank's trust department, but he was apparently desperately unhappy. Hated the desert, so his disappearance in Arizona, it was deliberate. A way to escape his life, maybe his past catching up.
So Rogers puts it all together. It clicks.
Yeah.
Clifford Reagan fakes his death in Arizona, becomes Brian Hardy in Miami, fakes his death again in the boat explosion, and then boards the topaz as Wendell Baxter. He's the same man.
He's the same guy. And Patricia Reagan, his daughter, she reluctantly confirms it. This is the triple life of one man. It's just a remarkable and kind of tragic story of evasion.
But before Rogers can even really process this, let alone tell the authorities, bam, he and Patricia are captured. Two very menacing guys, Slidell and his enforcer, a guy named J.R. Bonner. These are the professional muscle the police detective had mentioned earlier.
Right. The guys Keefer might have crossed. And Slidell, he doesn't waste any time revealing the full, terrifying why behind all this running.
What's the reason?
Slidell reveals that Clifford Reagan, our Baxter, our Hardy, stole $500,000 in bonds, hot bonds, from Slidell and his associate.
$500,000, wow.
Yeah. Reagan wasn't just some small-time embezzler. He was their connection, the guy supposed to fence these stolen bonds for them. He faked all those deaths precisely to escape Slidell's dangerous crew and keep that money. The stakes just absolutely exploded.
So Slidell thinks Reagan is still alive and that Rogers helped him.
He's convinced Reagan is alive and that Rogers must have put him ashore somewhere, maybe Mexico, like the letter said. He even brings in a polygraph machine and a guy named Flowers to run it, trying to force the truth out of Rogers, accuses him flat out of lying about Baxter's death. But here's the ironic thing. Slidell himself starts putting the real pieces together.
How so?
Well, Slidell, he's surprisingly sharp, not just muscle. He analyzes Rogers' incredibly detailed log about Baxter's heart attack. He points out it was almost too medically accurate for a layman. He somehow knew Rogers had an uncle who died of a coronary. And critically, Slidell knew about nitroglycerin pills, how they dissolve under the tongue, they aren't swallowed.
Okay, so what's his theory?
Slidell deduces that Reagan did have a real angina attack on the boat. He got scared, maybe he lost his medicine overboard or something. That near-death experience made him rethink his original plan to just slip ashore. Too risky now. So he decided to stay on the boat, hoping Rogers could get him to port safely, playing the percentages for survival. It's actually a chillingly accurate piece of deduction.
Wow. Okay. But the money, the missing $19,000, or maybe even more if the bonds were involved. Slidell's still after that.
Oh, absolutely. That's his main goal. He zeroes in on the missing $19,000 cash that Paula Stafford's letter mentioned. He knows it wasn't buried with Baxter. It wasn't found on the boat after the police searches. And Keefer only had a fraction of it, so where did it go?
Where'd it go?
Slidell theorizes that Reagan, knowing he might actually die from his heart condition before reaching port, wanted his daughter, Patricia, to get the money, but without linking her to his criminal past. So he must have hidden it somewhere on the boat, somewhere clever, in a way that wouldn't implicate anyone if it was found randomly. Slidell figures Reagan intended for Paula Stafford maybe to find it or be directed to it later, and he suspects Keefer, the nosy one, probably stumbled onto some of it first.
And it's right then, during this terrifying interrogation, with Slidell laying out this theory, that Rogers has his own huge aha moment.
Right. He realizes the police searches must have missed something, because something was removed from the boat for repairs before the police searched it thoroughly. Yes.
What was it?
The refrigerator.
The refrigerator.
Of course.
That's the breakthrough. And the FBI later confirms it. Special Agent Soames, acting on Rogers' eventual tip-off, found the letter to Paula Stafford and the missing $19,000 hidden inside the Topaz's refrigerator door, which was sitting in the electrical repair shop at the boatyard the whole time.
How did he hide it so well in there?
It was brilliant, really. Reagan had packed the cash bundles into individual standard letter-sized envelopes, then put those inside a large manila envelope. So if someone just felt the manila envelope inside the door panel, it would feel like, well, just a stack of letters, not cash.
Wow. Incredibly clever. So Keefer must have found that.
Keefer must have found it.
Yeah.
Torn it open, taken his share of the $3 or $4 grand the police knew about, and then, tragically, he must have run into Slidell's men, maybe Bonner, who were also looking for Reagan and the money. They probably thought Keefer knew where Reagan went or where the rest of the cash was, and they killed him for it. It all snaps into place. The revelations are coming thick and fast now. Slidell, he's unmasked as this big shot hoodlum from L.A. involved in bank robberies. He's getting closer to the full truth himself. You can really feel the culmination of this whole tangled mystery right there.
Absolutely. Rogers, his life is literally hanging in the balance, but he finally understands everything, the whole picture. He makes a desperate move, fights back against Bonner, the enforcer. And Patricia, despite being terrified, she grabs her heavy 35mm camera, remember she's a photographer, and smacks Bonner with it.
Good for her.
Yeah. That gives Rogers the opening he needs to get Slidell's gun. It's just pure, desperate courage from both of them.
So what happens then? They get away.
Patricia manages to escape. Rogers, he's wounded, but he's determined. He pursues Bonner, who tries to flee. Rogers ends up shooting him. It's later ruled justifiable homicide. And Slidell. He's caught red-handed trying to hotwire their getaway car. Just like that. The whole dangerous operation unravels.
And Rogers is finally clear.
Yes. The deep dive concludes with Rogers being completely cleared by the authorities. The money is recovered from the fridge. And the multiple interconnected identities of Clifford Reagan are finally fully understood. A man who tried so desperately to erase himself 3 times, only for his true story to be dragged into the light by pure chance and the persistence of a yacht captain caught in the middle.
What an absolutely incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
Seriously. From just a chance encounter in Panama to a violent confrontation in the Florida Keys, Stuart Rogers just stumbled into this hidden world. Hidden money, espionage almost, and this man just determined to vanish. And he ultimately uncovered the whole elaborate scheme of Clifford Reagan. A man who faked his death not once, not twice, but 3 times to escape a dangerous past that, well, eventually caught up with him anyway.
It really does highlight how, critical thinking, persistence, even when you're facing overwhelming odds and just layers of deception, how that can uncover truths buried really deep. Rogers' initial empathy for Baxter, weirdly enough, combined with his methodical mind and this unexpected resilience he showed, it allowed him to piece together a puzzle that baffled the police, even the FBI, for a while.
So thinking about this whole wild ride, what really stands out to you? How would you navigate a web that tangled secrets lies? It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the hidden lives people might be leading all around us and the desperate motivations behind their most extreme acts.
Indeed, it really prompts that question, doesn't it? In a world where people can construct these careful identities, can see their histories, how much do we ever truly know about the people around us, even the ones we think we know well?
That is a powerful thought to mull over. Join us next time for another deep dive, where we take your sources and turn them into unforgettable insights.